7. Swiss bunkers. Switzerland is well known for its hands-off approach when it comes to other countries' wars. In fact, the nation has not directly engaged in any international conflicts in over 150 years, and it even became the go-to location for those looking to escape war throughout Europe. Yet for a country that seems to resist violent confrontations with others, Switzerland is fairly well fortified. During World War II, the Swiss government maintained its neutral stance, but the country's leadership also decided it was better to be safe than sorry and built tens of thousands of bunkers. Some were meant for keeping civilians safe, should the need arise, while others were specifically designed for military use. The bunkers' existence is no secret, but most of them are shrouded in mystery. During the 1990s, the government opened many of them up to the public. But the Swiss military disagreed with this decision and refused to cooperate, making it difficult for people to visit the facilities. Information about the shelters is even hard to find on the internet, and official records are the same. The bunkers are found all over Switzerland and vary in appearance. Today, most of these shelters are hidden in plain sight. Many are disguised as houses, cabins, barns, and other ordinary structures. Others are even less noticeable and are built underground and directly into hills and mountains. Their entrances are marked only by a door that's designed to blend in with its surroundings as seamlessly as possible. In 2017, photographer Rito Sturci managed to get into a few of the bunkers that are privately owned. Some owners have repurposed them as hotels, restaurants, museums, or their own personal spaces. Others have left them untouched, serving as a sort of time capsule. Sturci captured snapshots featuring decontamination chambers, communal showers, dormitories, and even dining tables that seem set for a meal. 6. Tashkent Metro. Until recent years, photos of Central Asia's largest subway system were mysteriously missing from the internet. This was thanks to a government ban on photographing the Tashkent Metro in Uzbekistan. The ban was lifted back in 2018, giving most of the world their first ever opportunity to take a peek at the breathtaking underground stations. During the Soviet era, Tashkent city planners agreed to build a subway system when the population got up to 1 million. The milestone was achieved in the early 1960s, and construction officially started in 1971. 6 years later, the subway opened up to the public for the first time. The Tashkent Metro is visibly dated, but in many ways, it puts iconic subway systems to shame. Its stations showcase elegant 16-foot chandeliers, stunning artwork, and breathtaking mosque-like architecture. And at only 15 cents per entry, it's cheaper to ride than almost any other subway in the world. So why was this historic marvel kept out of sight for so long? Well, in addition to being built as a transportation system, the tunnels and station were meant to be an emergency shelter for civilians, should the need arise. Stations were outfitted with heavy blast doors, while their ground-level entrances were marked inconspicuously and designed to blend in with the landscapes. Photography was banned for national security reasons, but in 2018, leaders decided the threat of nuclear warfare was no longer imminent, and the ban was finally lifted. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, the Uzbek government decommunized many of the stations, with much of the symbolism and artwork representing the former ruling power removed. Some of it was replaced with Uzbek artwork, while other Soviet relics stay in place to this day. Uzbekistan has held up neutrality since 2012. During the ongoing fighting in Ukraine, President Shavkat Mirziyoyev has stuck by the policy. In mid-2023, he called for peace in Ukraine and said that he planned to stick to Western sanctions while maintaining the country's ties with Moscow as usual. 5. Sweden's bunkers. Under Sweden's largest cities and towns, there are well over 65,000 underground bunkers that were built to hold people in the event of an attack. They have enough room to house about 70% of the country's population of 10.4 million. The shelters started construction in the 1940s, but most were built during the 1950s and 60s during the Cold War nuclear scare. Many are in places that currently serve other functions, including commercial buildings, apartment complexes, garages, subway stations, and more. They're reportedly equipped to protect occupants from all kinds of weapons. People aren't assigned to specific bunkers. In the event of an emergency, everyone is encouraged to simply go to the one closest to them. If the alarm were to go off, the owners of the buildings that house shelters would have 48 hours to empty them all of irrelevant items. The bunkers are equipped with water, heating, ventilation, and plumbing. If the Swedish people ever need to make use of them, they'll be expected to bring their own bottled water, non-perishable foods, hygiene products, medicine, and other basic everyday necessities. For the sake of being prepared, Swedish citizens can easily look up their nearest bunker online if they'd like. The country also tests its public emergency alarm system, Horse Fredrik, 4 times every year, infiltrating its populated areas with painfully loud honking sounds. Sweden has maintained neutrality since the 19th century, but there's never a guarantee of avoiding violence, and the government prioritizes protecting its citizens above everything else. Construction on the bunkers concluded in 2002 when the country's leaders decided there was no longer a major need for them. Their views have changed in recent years, though, and in 2017, Sweden's Defense Commission recommended building more bunkers and updating the existing ones, many of which had not been inspected in over a decade. As a truly neutral country, Sweden avoided joining NATO for quite some time. In 2022, the nation formally submitted its application to join, and its membership is now pending. Do you know where the nearest shelter to you is in case of an emergency? It'd probably be a good idea to find out. If you're enjoying today's video so far, be sure to subscribe to the channel to see more. 4. Helsinki's bunkers. Under the busy streets of Finland's capital, Helsinki, there's a sprawling network of underground bunkers that are equipped to protect the city's 630,000 civilians in case of an attack. Built directly into the bedrock back in the 1960s, the shelters are connected by over 200 miles of tunnels. Most of the bunkers are blast-proof, gas-proof, and capable of shielding people from both radiation and toxic chemicals. They're most commonly used for parking and storage, though. Unlike dank, dimly lit Cold War-era shelters, many of Helsinki's bunkers are well-lit, clean, and warm. They have enough room to hold the city's entire population, along with several 100,000 more, which means that there's enough room for any tourists and other possible visitors at any given time. Situated 60 feet underground, one of these bunkers is home to a parking lot, a soccer field, a playground, and even a cafeteria. It has enough room for 6,000 people. Other shelters have cafes, go-kart tracks, softball courts, archery ranges, and more. They're also outfitted with the things people would need to survive for prolonged periods, including thousands of bunk beds. To maintain order, several items are banned inside these spaces, like alcohol, drugs, weapons, heat-producing devices, and anything that smells too much. For decades, Finland stuck to a policy of military neutrality. But even neutral countries need to protect themselves if the need arises. In April 2023, the country officially became a member of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO. President Sauli Niinisto said that while he does not believe that there are any imminent threats to Finland, it's become a priority to maximize national security during Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Finland shares an 830-mile border with Russia and has been invaded by its neighbor in the past, so they'd prefer to be prepared if their relationship sours. The country's need to step up its national security became especially clear when its bid to join NATO angered Russia. Kremlin officials have accused the alliance of trying to encircle its borders, and Putin has promised to move Russia's nuclear weapons closer to Europe and to take other retaliatory steps if this kind of behavior continues. 3. Moldova's bunkers. The Moldovan Soviet Socialist Republic, or Moldova, is home to a handful of abandoned Cold War bunkers, including a 13-story underground command center in the Soldenesti district. Located a few hours outside the capital city of Chisinau, this cylindrical structure sits hidden under the trees in a remote, densely wooded area in the northwestern region of the country. Dubbed Object 1180, it was built at the end of the Cold War starting in 1984, when Moldova was still under Soviet control. Locals knew something was going on, and they were aware of the Red Army's presence in the area, but they were banned from going down the dirt road that led to the mysterious construction site and were told nothing about it. According to records, as many as 1,500 Red Army soldiers guarded the base. At the height of its existence, the property contained 2 administrative blocks and 1 residential block, the remnants of which are mostly gone today. The bunker at Soldanesty was one of the largest Soviet shelters ever constructed. It was 32 times more expensive to build than a typical Soviet high-rise apartment building and was equipped to support a population the size of a small town. Moldova was under Soviet rule until 1991, when the country declared its independence during the fall of the Iron Curtain. The bunker was 95% finished being built when it was abandoned later that year. Today, much of the structure is flooded, overgrown with rogue plants, and covered in rust. For now, the site attracts brave urban explorers, but it seems as if a company has been working to scrap it in recent years. Under Moldova's current constitution, the country must either stay neutral or mobilize its military. The country also does not allow the deployment of foreign forces on its soil. This has been a policy since 1994. But many are starting to wonder how long this can last, since Moldova is directly south of Ukraine. 2. Austria's bunkers. In December 2014, a documentary team led by an Austrian filmmaker named Andreas Sulzer discovered a sprawling Nazi bunker in the woods of northern Austria near the city of Linz. They discovered the site's concealed entrance using intelligence reports, ground-penetrating radar, and radiation tests, which helped hint at the bunker's purpose. Given the abnormally high radiation levels the team detected, among other clues, they concluded that they had most likely found the bunker where Nazis developed nuclear weapons. The team described the 75-acre former industrial complex as likely the biggest secret weapons production facility of the Third Reich. An American intelligence report from the period it operated during supports the crew's suspicions about the true nature of the facility. According to news reports, the bunker was built using forced labor, with as many as 320,000 prisoners dying during the construction. The sprawling complex was near, and may have been connected to, the underground Berg Crystal factory, where the Nazis developed the first-ever jet-powered fighter plane, the Messerschmitt Me 262. After the war, the Allies inspected the Berg Crystal site, but they never located the nuclear experimentation site. Shortly after the bunker's discovery, police stopped an excavation attempt because the team lacked the necessary permit to dig. It's unclear whether the project continued or if the bunker's identity was fully confirmed. Other World War II bunkers have been discovered throughout the country, including a massive underground command center called the Chirac Bunker. Just like the nuclear experimentation site, authorities shot down a proposal to excavate the facility, suggesting that the country would like to move on from its dark period in its history. In 1955, Austria declared permanent neutrality and made the policy part of its constitution. This was done partially to satisfy the Allies after World War II for the sake of the country obtaining independence. Since then, neutrality has become an integral part of Austria's identity. So much so that 2 Austrian politicians walked out on a speech being given by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in early 2023 because they felt it violated their neutrality agreements. 1. Belgrade's bunker network. During the 1950s and 60s, the Yugoslavian dictator Josip Broz Tito oversaw the construction of a secret network of underground tunnels and bunkers in the Serbian capital of Belgrade. The complex was built into a hill and is among the hundreds of tunnels, caves, cellars, bunkers, and passageways that sit beneath the city. Many of these structures have yet to be unsealed, and according to archaeologists, it could take decades to fully explore them all. The bunker's existence was kept secret from the public up until 2004, when 2 soldiers were fatally shot while guarding a hillside entrance into one of the sites. Their deaths remained shrouded in mystery, even while an investigation revealed the bunker's presence. In 2016, a World War II-era German bunker was found at a supermarket construction site in Belgrade's Vidikovac district. According to a worker there, the structure was at least 3 stories. It was one of 3 World War II bunkers that have been discovered in Belgrade. At a time when several countries who resisted NATO membership have officially submitted their applications, Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić announced in early 2023 that the country would uphold its military neutrality. The policy has been in place since 2007, and while there are no plans to break away from the status quo, Serbia maintains good relations with NATO and is in the hoping to join the European Union. Thanks for watching. Which of the underground spaces on today's list would you most want to explore? Let us know in the comments below. But be sure to subscribe first. Bye for now.